In Tadasana, the feet can be hips width apart or together. For people with something that's between their legs, hips width apart tends to be a bit more comfortable stance. Yeah, I put that in there. Either case, love how solid you are through that commentary. In either case, we want the knees when they bend to be pointing mostly straight ahead. Then you can go ahead and straighten the legs. We don't want the knees hyperextending backward nor bent forward. We want the knees in a straight angle. Students who are slightly bow-legged, where when they bend their knees, they kind of bow sideways, but the knee caps point forward, then the knees will not necessarily be in line with the toes. They may be a little wider, and obviously the opposite would be for people who are slightly knock-kneed. We just want them in a position where their hips are in their natural alignment. Okay? And we can, please feel free to shoot me an email, marisha@marishado.com, if you have more questions about bow-legged or knock-kneed, because there's a lot to be said about that. Moving forward, for those of us who have the feet together, go ahead and put your feet together. In most classes, for most students, the heels are less than a centimeter apart, toes together. And then in this position, there's a feeling of the inner thighs moving to the back body, so that'll kind of stick the butt out a little bit. And simultaneously, there's a rooting down of the tailbone. So both those actions work together to create more solidity in the center of the body. Simultaneously, the inner arches of the feet are lifting and the outer ankles are hugging in, so we don't roll to the pinky toe sides of the feet, and so we do engage the inner thighs. All right, in this position, the muscles at the base of the neck are relaxed, and then we're lifting the sides of the waist off of the hips. So the diaphragm engages so we're not sunk down, but more lifted out. And you can have your students work the palms. You can encourage them to think of the webbing between the index finger and thumb grounding, the base of each finger pressing into the base of each finger on the other hand, the second knuckle from the tips of the fingers working in. And as she's doing this, straight away, we get the biceps and the pecs engaged as well as the forearms. Now, when we move to a position where the arms are overhead, go ahead and reach up. All right, we want to have a feeling like the fingertips are lifting all the way from the sides of the waist. And rather than having the arms rolling in, we're having that external rotation. So go ahead and take your arms by your sides. The way you can remember that is when the arms are by our sides, this is internal. When the arm is up, the arm is rolling in. And then taking it down, external, the thumb is rolling out, and we lift up. Okay, so from this position, the upper arm is rolling out like down dog, and then below the elbow, we're rolling in. So the palms are parallel. And then would you turn profile? Okay. Oftentimes when the arms reach overhead, go ahead and we kind of get a bit of a back bend, and that's okay if that's what we're doing in the pose, but for the more neutral stance, we want to keep the front ribs hugging in, so that the wrists, the shoulders, and the hips are more in line. Hug these guys back a little bit more. Now, she's got very open shoulders, so that's accessible. But for most yogis, keeping the arms in that external and what I'll talk about, upward scapular rotation, the arms will be a little bit forward of the body. Oftentimes, when the arms are overhead, go ahead, bend the elbows. This is what happens, especially in yoga cultures where mobility isn't emphasized. So having your students extend energy through the elbows is going to be a very useful direction. And then go ahead and turn your back to the camera. All right, so just to recap the work of the upward scapular rotation, rather than pinching the shoulder blades together and retracting them down, we're having the shoulder blades kind of wrap a little bit to the sides of the body, but more so lifting skyward. Take your hands by your sides. So if we are tracing the shoulder blade here, go ahead, reach the arms forward. There's a little bit of a spreading to the side, and then go ahead and lift up, up, up. So the outer border of the shoulder blade lifts, the inner border of the shoulder blade drops, and then together the whole thing lifts, all the way from the sides of the waist. The front ribs are engaged, inner thighs are back, tailbone down, inner thighs hug in, inner arches lift. Now, you remember all of that. There's going to be a big test, and if you fail, you might cry.
You're so kind.